Welcome to Compass Points, the weekly podcast for CompassKnox.com. CompassKnox.com is your best source for news and politics in Knoxville and Knox County. If you'd like to learn more about the topics discussed on today's podcast, go to CompassKnox.com and subscribe for in-depth coverage and much more.
Welcome to Compass Points, a podcast about Knoxville and Knox County government, politics, business, education, anything else that grabs our attention here locally. I am Scott Barker, the editor of Compass, and we are a subscription-based website and newsletter where we report on all those topics and more. You can find us at CompassKnox.com. Come check us out. Subscribe if you like what you see. Anyway, we are recording this through the magic of technology. It's not high-tech technology, but it is technology. I don't get to luxuriate in the comforts of the Barbarian production studio in Rocky Hill this week because Lord Seth Barber has taken his show to Folly Beach in South Carolina. Seth, give us the 3-day-old weather forecast or weather report for Folly Beach. What's it like down there?
It's a pretty fantastic day. Not too warm since I'm still tentative to use the H word on the show anymore. But it is warm, but not too warm. I don't know. Folly's always been a cool beach as far as it's not super surfy. It doesn't beat you up when you get out in the water. But it's been nice. We had a little bit of rain on and off throughout the week. I'll say this, though. I took the hot springs route through the mountains, and it went pretty smoothly. And my parents took 40 through and said that went pretty well as far as getting through the washout we had on 40 there. And so traveling east from Knoxville seems to be working pretty well right now if anybody's got that on their agenda in the next few weeks.
Well, good. That's fantastic. It's good to know. I have not been to Western North Carolina since Helene went through, and so it's good to know that you can get around over there at least. Know that they're still in recovery mode over there. I mean, the national news media has moved on, but the people who live there are still dealing with the aftermath of that disaster.
Yeah, I've got a good buddy who's been just traveling around buying campers and driving them to the greater Asheville area for people who lost their homes. That's what he's been doing for almost a year now, just nonstop taking his truck. Said he went down to Texas and got a couple, and then just that's all he's been doing.
Oh wow, that's fantastic. That's a good deed, or several good deeds.
Indeed, it is. Yeah.
Well, all right. Well, we had a busy week in Knoxville, Knox County last week. We've got we'll start out talking about subdividing duplexes and related matters that might be coming down the pike in Knoxville. There's that's been kind of a new development here in the last week or so. Also, we will talk about the Knoxville's loss of the largest grant that the city has received, as far as anyone knows, in its history, a $42.7 million Reconnecting Communities grant. It was a casualty of the Big Beautiful Bill. We'll also look at the school board met last week. They adopted a new cell phone policy and also wrestled with athletics insurance.
I see what you did there. That was good. I like that.
Oh yeah, I tried that. I tried to go to wrestle instead of tackle. Because everybody says they tackled an issue. Well, they wrestled with this issue. Also, we've got a couple of candidate profiles. The city council election, is coming up, and we run candidate profiles in the weeks leading up to the beginning of early voting, which is in early August. We profiled the second district candidates. The second district is in North Knoxville and stretches all the way over to far east Knoxville. We also looked at the fourth district candidates. The fourth district is, the second district is West Knoxville. The fourth district is North Knoxville. Excuse me, I flipped them around. Anyway, the second district, West Knoxville, along Kingston Pike. That is, we took a look at both of those. Anyway, we'll start off with some money. It was this week was Thursday, or last week, Thursday, as a matter of fact, was the deadline for candidates to file their campaign finance disclosure forms for the second quarter of the year, which ended June 30th. Most candidates had not really geared up their fundraising until the second quarter. Some still haven't, as we found out looking at the disclosure statements. There are 18 candidates for city council spread over five district races. 15 of the candidates filed them. The money raised varies wildly. We had one candidate, Nathan Honeycutt, in the aforementioned second district, who raised almost $42,000 in that time frame. And then we had several who didn't raise a dime, and one who hasn't even named a campaign treasurer, which is the first step you've got to take to raise money. So it's all over the map there. The three candidates who, as of the end of business on Thursday, had not filed their campaign finance reports were Becky Jones in the first district, that's South Knoxville and Fort Sanders, Stan Johnson of the sixth district, and Charles Frazier of the sixth district. So they were late. Stragglers are it's common that a candidate or two will be late in filing. There's really no penalty for being late in the short term as long as you comply. One of the things about campaign finance reporting is that it is designed to get people to comply. It is not designed to necessarily punish people. One thing, like I said, the candidates who did not file on time, at least one of them has, or actually two of them have. Johnson and Jones have filed theirs. They were not on, and they may have actually done it on time. They were not in the last night. They were not posted on Thursday night. They were not posted on the website for the Knox County Election Commission. The Election Commission is usually really good about getting things up immediately when they get them in. I don't know if they were late posting those, but now we have 17 out of 18 who have filed. So we are going to take a deeper look at those numbers and the donations in the coming days. But we'll run down a little bit of these just the numbers stuff right now. In the first district, as I said, that's South Knoxville and Fort Sanders. The top fundraiser in the second quarter was Karen Adams, who raised $15,750. It's a pretty hefty amount for a district primary race. She's got 15.5 left over she had 15.5 left over at the end of June. Lindsay Yarimko is raised about $4,000, a little bit less than $4,400. It has $2,600 left over. Then Charles Van Morgan he really hasn't raised a whole lot. He raised $489 in the second quarter. He is not obviously not relying on raising all kinds of money to run his campaign. And then we'll have Becky Jones. She, as I said, that was the one they did not have posted. She did really well. She pulled in almost $8,000, $7,977. She's barely spent any of it. She hasn't even spent $1,000. She's got $7,227 left on hand. So she is looking like, as far as the money goes, she is well positioned in that race against at least with the two others who've raised some significant money, Yarimko and Adams. So obviously Adams has a big lead on that. The one thing that money gets you in this, even in the ground roots politics, even in these district only races where the districts are relatively small, you don't have to reach everybody, but campaign mailers, campaign signs, things like that, you still need to do those, and that's generally what they spend their money on. One thing that is going to be obvious this year is that they won't spend as much and don't have to raise as much between the primary and the general election. At least the top two finishers who move on to the general election won't, because they don't have to get campaign signs for the entire city. They don't have to send mailers out to the entire city. All they've got to do is continue to focus on their district. Anyway, in District 2, West Knoxville, as we said, Honeycutt raised about $42,000, a little bit less than $42,000. Melody Watts, who is the other candidate in that race, has raised $82,000 or $8,200, excuse me. She's still way behind. He's got as far as the amount of money that they had on balance at the end of June. Honeycutt had about 4 times the amount of money that Watts had. And I always like to point out, too, that money isn't always everything. Sometimes people will, and this has happened, sometimes people will raise a lot more money than their opponent, and then they lose. One thing about this race, it's only got 2 candidates. The top 2 finishers in all the races move on to the general election, as I said. So these Watts and Honeycutt are guaranteed a spot in the general election. They will. That means that basically the primary is a halftime score, not the end of game score. So District 3, which is Northwest Knoxville, is one of the 2 kind of crowded races we have. Nick Cipero, who has run for the office before, hasn't raised a dime. not one penny, according to his report. Ivan Harmon, who is a former council member, he raised about $1,500 in the last cycle or the last quarter. He had already raised money before. He has about $2,200 on hand. Doug Lloyd, though, is the candidate with he's a businessman. He's a candidate with the big lead in fundraising. He raised $24,310 during the second quarter. He spent a lot of money. He spent no more than $13,000, but still has $13,000 on hand. So Doug Lloyd does not have to worry about paying for those flyers and signs. Then we've got Frank Ramey. Ramey loaned his campaign $4,900. Had only $363 in contributions that came in. Still has $5,200 and some change as of June 30th. District 4 is another one of those two-person races. We had Jane George was running and decided to drop out. Matthew DeBartoleben has raised $7,248 in the second quarter, and Jeff Tallman raised $10,170. So that at least as far as fundraising goes, they're pretty competitive. Tallman ran for mayor a couple of years ago, so he's got a network of people to tap into. DeBartoleben, as we'll talk, has quite a few heavyweight endorsements. So it's going to be that's going to be an interesting race. As far as their balances moving forward for the last month and a half of the campaign, DeBartoleben had $7,226 and Tallman $9,890. Of course, they're still going to be raising money, so those figures are subject to change. The 6th district, which is the city's only majority district, stretches from East Knoxville through downtown, Mechanicsville, and out to Marble City. It's kind of a sprawling district, and of those candidates, Charles Frazier is the one who has not named a treasurer and filed a report. The only indication that Frazier is a candidate is he has filed a petition. So, I've not seen an instance that a candidate has not named a treasurer, at least in my memory. Some may have happened in the past, but I don't think it's necessary as long as you don't raise money. So there you go. Denzel Grant raised $6,268 during the quarter and has a couple thousand left over. George Raudenbush didn't raise any money but loaned his campaign $1,572. Still has about $103 left his account after his expenditures. Lawrence Williams raised $3,500 and spent $3,300 and has about $120 left. Now we'll go to Stan Johnson, who, as I said, his disclosure was not on file Thursday night when we looked at this. This is Friday, by the way, when we're recording this. Things change sometimes between the times you report something and the time that you we do the podcast recording. Johnson reported taking in almost $4,900 during that period, and did not record any disbursements. I don't know why. The $2,270.53 is what he says he has on hand. Just looking, this is the first time I've had a chance to take a look at his financial disclosure. It is, he does have itemized list of expenditures. They didn't have the sum total reported on the line it's supposed to be reported on, but he did spend $4,800, and on his various things like business cards and yard signs. So we'll have to sort that out when we do our reporting, future reporting on this, and we'll be looking into a little bit more of where everybody's getting their money from, and as everybody likes to say, we're following the money, and we'll be back with a report on that. We started running, as we said earlier, our campaign profiles this week. The 4th district race between DeBartoleben and Tallman. We interviewed both of those candidates. We actually interviewed 3 of them, but Dr. Jane George, chiropractor who ran for Congress last year against Tim Burchett, and as Burchett opponents find out, he's a pretty strong candidate, and she failed to unseat him. She was going to run. She announced. Actually, it was funny. It was the night before this profile ran. I had already written up her profile and found out that she was withdrawing from the race. Ran across her Facebook announcement about that. Anyway, she's not running, but those who are, the ones that people care about, like I said, both candidates will move on to the general election. This is so the primary in the 4th district is not an elimination round as it is in the 6th district and the 3rd district. It is just halftime, and if you don't believe that that what happens after the primary would matter, the first place finisher, even if they win by a big margin, doesn't always carry the day at the or it's sometimes close to carrying the day at the end. Go back to 2 years ago when actually it's 4 years or 6 years or 6 years ago when Lynn Fugit was running for city council. The first and won the first time. She finished first by a comfortable margin in the primary over Charles Lomax Jr. But in the general election, Lomax had, which of course was a different thing because it was citywide. The general election was citywide, not district. Or actually, this was all citywide. Excuse me, all citywide because it's an at-large seat, and Lomax made up ground and almost overtook Fugit in the general election. So the outcome of the primary is not necessarily indicative of what's going to happen in the general election. This is new territory where we're only having district voters vote in the general election. So who knows? But Tallman and DeBartoleben are going at it. DeBartoleben is a first-time candidate. He lives up over in Old North Knoxville. He is a real estate broker, commercial real estate broker. Has a very interesting background. He went to divinity school He got his bachelor's degree and then went to a divinity school and was actually the chaplain for the Chicago Bears for a couple of seasons. When I was sat down and talked with him, it was kind of funny, and I was a little like, "Oh wow, that's really cool." It's like, yeah, I got to travel with the team and go on the sidelines and all that stuff. Anyway, but that and the a couple of bucks we spent on coffee that morning will get you nothing in Knoxville City Council races. The DeBartle Laban is a very, very much into improving neighborhoods. That's his big, one of his big campaign themes, and that is because he goes back to growth, and Knoxville is growing, and he wants to be, and he drops into some of this religious speech a little bit in there. I mean, it doesn't appear to be overly religious, but he uses terminology like a good steward of growth. He wants to be in city council. He wants to improve green spaces, greenways, sidewalks, public transportation, a little bit higher density in housing, a little bit of all of the things that actually the city is pretty much moving in the direction of. So that's kind of that. He's a member of the board of directors of Yes Knoxville, which is a nonprofit that advocates for those things. But one of the things that he was careful to point out is that while he is an advocate for managing growth that's coming no matter what, he does think that the city needs to do what it can to mitigate the pain of growth, both for people who are looking for housing that is very, very expensive, and people who are kind of left behind because wages haven't been rising at the same rate as rents and mortgages. So he is the first candidate that I'm aware of who has come out so far and said that they are in favor of the sales tax referendum that is going to be on the November ballot. Many candidates have said that they are dead set against it, but he is for it. It's going to be the estimate is it's going to raise more than $40 million a year in new revenue that the city administration has said will be going toward various things. They've got a specific list of projects that are of areas where it's going to go. Affordable housing would more than double the amount that goes toward affordable housing. It will add money for sidewalks, greenways, parks, all those things that DeBartle Laban has said will be priorities for him. So that kind of aligns with that. And like I said, he's going to be focusing on that growth and how that affects North Knoxville, which is the district that he's in. He likes the whole idea of developing the corridors like Broadway and Central, which Central is actually in the 5th district, but it's intimately tied to Broadway as they cross paths at the very southern end of the district and both head north, Central up to Inskip and Broadway up to Fountain City, which is also in the district. Another priority for him is safety crossing Broadway. Said he's big into safety and transportation, and As anybody who has been in Fountain City at commuting time knows, it gets pretty congested and very difficult to cross from one side to the other if you are on foot. Meanwhile, we'll turn to Jeff Tallman, who, as I said earlier, ran for mayor 2 years ago, lost in the primary to Mayor India Kincannon. Very enthusiastic about the city of Knoxville, but he does have lots of criticisms of how things have been going. One thing about his financial disclosure we talked about earlier. That was he actually injected a little bit of levity into that. There's a space on your financial disclosures for you to disclose in-kind contributions. Those are things that people might not charge you for, but they do for your campaign. And he is a big opponent. First of all, he ran against Kincannon. He's been critical of Kincannon, and he is a big opponent of the sales tax referendum. And on his campaign finance disclosure under in-kind contributions, he listed Mayor Kincannon as providing him with an in-kind contribution, and that contribution was proposing the sales tax increase. And he listed its worth, which you have to do, as invaluable. So he thinks that that Kincannon gave him a really good enemy to run against, and he is not a supporter of that. He thinks that one of the things he brought up, and a lot of people have made this comment, is that in the State of the City address, when the mayor dropped her budget for next year, everything was positive about the budget, and that is that's certainly true. She was very positive about the direction of the city, and then Colin said, all of a sudden now we need a tax increase. Well, one of the things that the mayor's pointed out in this is it's the tax increase isn't because the city is in financial trouble. Tax increase is to fund projects. I mentioned what those were, infrastructure projects to get ahead of the game, because these are all things that have already been planned for the most part. 20 years worth of projects they projected under the way things are going currently as far as funding goes, and then but they would be able to do this in 5 years. So that's the accelerating that is the goal behind that. But it does Tallman doesn't think that that's needed. Thinks that the mayor lacked transparency in presenting that, and he, like DeVar DeLaban, had talks about handling growth. He is a little skeptical about funding affordable housing because, and this point's often made that the 3 L's, land, labor, and lumber, all cost the same regardless of how much you charge in rent, and that is true. The city's affordable housing programs subsidize that a little bit so that developers who build affordable housing can do that and stay viable as companies. So there are other things that Tallman doesn't like. He's not a fan of the downtown parking, on-street parking regime that moved in. The city switched from using parking meters where you fed them coins or even used a credit card. Now you have to use an app to park on street. Thinks that's undemocratic. There are especially seniors who might not be comfortable using apps as much as folks who are younger. He is, he's a big advocate of for North Knoxville and for Fourth and Gill, especially, which is his neighborhood. He also thinks the Fourth District can play a role in helping to revitalize the Sixth District, which lies just to the south along part of it, along Magnolia, kind of the heart of the district. And it is, like I said, the majority-minority district, and the Fourth District is especially Magnolia, redeveloping Magnolia, because the Holston Hills, which is at the eastern end of Magnolia, is in the Fourth District, and those residents have a vested interest in that. One of the things that plagues the Fourth District is not plagues, I shouldn't say that, but the south end of the district is where most of the shelters in the city are clustered. There are a lot of people in the that area of North Knoxville and up along Broadway and Central report that they have issues with people who apparently are homeless and who it's a very sticky situation for everybody. I mean, nobody, we do have, I think everyone acknowledges a homelessness crisis, and part of that's because so many people can't afford a place to live. Tallman thinks that that's not really the thing. He thinks it's mostly a mental illness issue and wants to work with the state. They've talked about building a state mental hospital here, and he thinks looking at institutionalizing some of the people who are unhoused and have mental illnesses would be a good thing. One thing would be remiss if I didn't mention, we talked about it before when this happened. Tallman doesn't actually live in the Fourth District right now. He has lived in Fourth and Gill and in the Fourth District for 4 decades. Right now, he is building a house in Fourth and Gill and is living temporarily with his wife in Dandridge. There was the election commission held a hearing to see if that was legal, because there is a residency requirement in the city of Knoxville for district representatives. They voted 3-2 to allow him to stay on the ballot, primarily because state law allows for temporary absences from your official residence, and those can be the definition of temporary is pretty long. You'd be a year or longer. So they voted to allow him on the ballot. And so, as I said, it's going to be Tallman versus DeBartoleben in the Fourth District. And should be, and as I mentioned earlier, they both raised a decent amount of money. There's no big gap there. So that'll be a very interesting race to observe. It also happens to be my district. So I'm looking at it not only as a journalist, but as a citizen. So the other profile we did was District 2, which is West Knoxville, as we mentioned. You got Nathan Honeycutt going up against Melody Watts. Honeycutt is a principal with McCarty, Hillsop and McCarty in the architecture firm, a very prominent architecture firm. It's his first run for office. Might want to go ahead and mention, I don't think I mentioned this earlier. All of the seats that are up for grabs this year are the people who hold them now are term limited, so they couldn't run for re-election. Honeycutt and Watts are running for the seat that's currently held by Andrew Roberto. Anyway, if you hear a recurring theme here, Honeycutt talks about growth and the challenges that has. As an architect, he deals with it on a daily basis. He wants to grow in a way that protects what makes Knoxville, a special city. Doesn't want to lose the character and spirit of the city, and he is very excited that there are a lot of forward-looking things going on. He wants to incentivize mixed-use developments, especially along Kingston Pike and Bearden. As we said, that's where he represents, that area, and thinks that providing incentives for 2-3-story buildings that have apartments on the second and third floors and restaurants or retail stores on the ground floor that would help kind of transform the corridor into a more walkable area. That's one of the things that's been kind of vexing for some of the quote unquote smart growth advocates is Kingston Pike in Bearden. The Bearden area is fairly walkable. The area of Kingston Pike west of North Shore Drive, however, is very busy. People drive fast, lots of traffic. 5 lanes, pretty much for the most part, all the way out to Cedar Bluff. The development patterns much more suburban, where they have a shopping center set back off the road, as compared to more urbanized areas, and a lot of people would like to see that the commercial areas along Kingston Pike are more walkable and convenient for people who walk. And to get from store to store. You can go to the Bearden area and pull into one shopping center and go to a store there, and you might go to a shopping center, two parcels down, and you'll have to get out and drive on Kingston Pike to go there because it's very difficult to walk over that short distance even. So the Honeycutt also is concerned about affordable housing and homelessness, wants to help existing homeowners keep their houses. He is a big advocate for improving greenways in West Knoxville. And he is in some ways he's very supportive of current conditions. He is a big supporter of the Knoxville Police Department's co-responder program, where an officer is paired with a social worker to respond to non-emergency calls involving mental health. That is kind of the status quo thing. There is a movement, as we've reported many times, to pair a social worker with an EMT or medic to do those kind of calls. But that is being studied right now. Right now, it's an officer and a social worker, and he likes that. So he said that he did not he didn't come out and say he was supporting the property tax increase or against it when I sat down and spoke with him, or when actually that was Gerald Witt, who's one of our correspondents, who spoke with him. But the said that that people in the district are concerned about it. He said, but there's also a big need for the amenities that it would pay for, because people want parks. They like parks. They like sidewalks. They like having the city invest in their neighborhoods. So there's kind of that balance or trade off that needs to be made there that he's interested in looking at. He's running against Melody Watts, who is also running for office her first time. She said that she's a keen observer of city council and city government, and doesn't think that people are being the people are being heard. She is an event coordinator at Pell City State, which is where she went to college before getting her bachelor's degree at Carson Newman. But she does a lot of their events. She manages their events, and they've got various campuses, and she has to run around a whole lot doing that. Busy life for Watts, and she thinks that that's prepared her well because she's always listening to clients. She's listening to the people internally at Pell City State, trying to make sure that everybody is satisfied with the events that she coordinates, and she thinks that she can apply that to city council. And she thinks that zoning and homelessness are major issues. She doesn't like the city's recent emphasis on middle housing and duplexes, for example. She does not think that they need to be duplexes. Specifically need to go into single family home neighborhoods, and that's most of West Knoxville. So she wants to revisit those policies and zoning ordinances to keep that from happening. One of the big things recently that happened in that was the 1-year plan, which is a planning document that nobody other than developers and policy wonks really pay a whole lot of attention to. But the 1-year plan is necessary; it's legally mandated, and in the 1-year plan, they made it easier for developers to clear the first part of the staff review for getting duplexes, for building duplexes in single-family neighborhoods that are prevalent right now and currently and in the future. They have to get Planning Commission has to approve duplexes as a special use. That's still what has been the case, and it's still the case. This does make it easier for the developers to get it in front of planning commissioners by going through the staff process, making that easier. But it still has to be approved as a special use. Watts said that she really didn't plan to run, but she does want to serve the community, and so that the opportunity is there, and she took it. She is opposed to the sales tax increase. She thinks it'll have a negative impact on local businesses. She thinks that, as I said, homelessness is an issue for her. She's a devout Christian. She says that, and she said that her, she looks at, helping people who are unhoused as a Christian mission service, and she wants to use that in public service. She definitely doesn't. She advocates for having the unhoused population treated fairly. She doesn't want to see them jailed. She does think that getting to the root of homelessness is the key there, and of course, the root of homelessness is tends to be it's a there are lots of roots to homelessness, so that's something that the city has been dealing with a whole lot, and she wants to be part of the solution there. So the that is the second district race in a nutshell. So I think I mentioned like the first district, both candidates will, or like the fourth district, both candidates will move on to the general election, and but we will follow all of that to kind of see where they are and gauge where they are. One of the interesting things that about being a journalist and covering politics is, especially when you're on a local level and you're covering people who've not run before, it is very interesting to see how they learn and grow and change, and they do. It's every time you talk to a candidate, especially the ones who are newer to the process, are blown away by what it's like to actually go out and knock on doors and talk to voters all across their district or all across the city, and the things they learn, the things that they find out that people are concerned about that they weren't aware of, before, and one neighborhood's concerns are might be different from the next neighborhood over. So that's all very interesting, and we will continue to cover that. We'll have more candidate profiles coming up in the coming weeks. We hope to wrap all of them up. We've got 2 of the 5 that we're going to be writing about in the can. They've already been published now. We've got 3 more to go, and we're planning to finish those up along with our other coverage of other issues by the beginning of early voting, so that people know when they go to the polls in August, at least where the candidates, they have a good idea of the candidates there. We also hope that people go to other sources for that information too. One of the things that the services that Knoxville Community Media has done is they have had interviews with candidates that they put on their website. Actually, the easiest thing to do with Knoxville Community Media for archived video is to go to their YouTube page, and then they've got several of the candidates who've sat down for interviews there. Can also go to candidate forums, all kinds of good stuff out there to do your background research for your civic duty as a voter. Anyway, school board met this week. They had a work session on Monday and a voting session on Thursday. The biggest topic that they covered was the new cell phone policy that they came up with. It was beginning in the fall when they come back to school. Students will not be allowed to use their cell phones between bells. Basically, they can use them before school. They can use them after school. During school, they've got to be tucked away and turned off. So it's a little more it's more restrictive than it has been. That applies to all schools. Initially, they were going to have 2 votes on this. It was going to be on first reading last week, and then they would have to wait a month to have second reading. They decided to go ahead and at the last minute do it on first reading, or just do it on an emergency basis. An emergency basis. Past that, talked to Superintendent John Riswick. He checked with the law department, and they said that was okay, even though it was not listed as an emergency ordinance going into the meeting. Anyway, the school system School board members, Betsy Henderson, thought it was getting better for the students' mental health. It was one of three options that they had. The others were less restrictive. The school system does have a student representative on the school board, Albert Liu. He was opposed to this because he reasoned that high school students already had, at least for high school students have more freedom. High school students, they are entrusted to drive to school. They can go to college classes with Mississippi State. Lauren Morgan, board member, also pointed out that more than 500 students are enrolled in Mississippi State. These students are mature. They can handle as long as that there are boundaries that they can handle more freedom in cell phone use. But that did not fly with the majority of the members. Now it was a little closer vote than might otherwise have been. Henderson, Tricia Fontenot Ridley, Christie, Steve Triplets, Travis Wright, and Templeton voted for it. Voting against it were Butler and Morgan, and Catherine Bike abstained. Anyway, so that means that if you have a high school student, or if you happen to be a high school student listening to this when school starts in the fall, you will not be able to use your cell phone during instructional hours of school. There are exceptions for educational uses with approved principal and, of course, emergencies. So that's going to be the policy going into the school year. And if you do use your cell phone outside of those hours, you could have it confiscated. So be aware of the policy and be careful in using it. We also covered the student athletic insurance policy. The school board was looking at dropping that, but they heard from physicians at Knoxville Orthopedic Clinic who have routinely treated student athletes from Knox County schools, and emphasized that a lot of athletes' families are uninsured or underinsured, and that the school system should continue to fund the insurance that they qualify for now, instead of leaving it up to the families. They talked about the financial burden that is on their families, and that many won't be able to afford the coverage. And of course, injuries are a fact of life when you compete in sports, and they want to make they want to make sure that the student athletes in Knox County are still covered. School board wound up voting to maintain the current setup where the school system does pay for athletic insurance. It's $150 out of the gap in funding they're going to have to come up with, though, in order to be able to do that. The school system did say that they'll be in the school board, the school administration. They said that they would continue to work with doctors and others who are stakeholders in the athletic programs to revisit the policy in future years and see how that can be improved. So there's two things: cell phones, new policy, athletics insurance for student athletes in Knox County schools. Basically, stays the same, stays the status quo. that's an intensely local thing. One of the we did have national events make an impact on local matters last week. The big beautiful bill that Congress passed, the comprehensive tax cut spending cut bill, Congress passed on the 4th of July, of all things. Kind of ironic, but or interesting. I don't. It doesn't necessarily have to be ironic, but one of the casualties was the grant program that pays for reconnecting communities grants. Now, the reason that has a big local impact is that Knoxville was specifically through Knoxville's Community Development Corporation, or KCDC, was awarded a $42.7 million grant through the program last year. It's the largest grant that anybody can remember Knoxville ever receiving. The grant program is designed to address, make infrastructure improvements in areas that government actions cut off from other communities, like interstates going through the middle of cities. That happened here. The grant that Knoxville was seeking to try to reconnect areas that were cut off by James White Parkway construction between downtown and East Knoxville, and the urban renewal program of the 1960s and early 1970s that destroyed several African American communities during at that time. The city was more segregated than it is now, for sure, and these African American communities were located where the baseball stadiums in one, or shouldn't say baseball stadiums, multi-use. The Covenant Health Park is, where the bottom was the neighborhood there. Then the Civic Auditorium, the Coliseum, and what used to be the Public Safety Building were, replaced these neighborhoods. The one thing that is very obvious when you look at maps is that East Knoxville has very few greenways compared to other parts of town, especially South and West Knoxville. So this grant would have been used in large measure for greenways, pedestrians, access, green spaces, parks, all kinds of infrastructure things. And again, similar to the sales tax proposal, a lot of these projects are kind of on the drawing board, and this would could help fund. Some of them already have funding. This would have helped fund these and get them done faster. According to Ben Bentley, who's the CEO and executive director of KCDC, the bill provision of the bill the big beautiful bill addressing this is pretty unambiguous. That all the funds that haven't been actually paid out from this from the program are taken back. So so they're now going to look for other sources of funding. As I said, 5 of the 7 had some kind of local funding already planned or in place. A couple of them, though, don't. The one that does have funding in place is the East Knoxville Greenway project. The city was going to use proceeds from that grant to pay for the local match on that. Now the local dollars will have to go to the local match. two projects complete without funding is one was some open space that was planned for First Creek at Austin in East Knoxville, the remake of the Austin Homes project near Covenant Health Park. And the other is the linear park proposed to connect East Knoxville with the urban wilderness. That would go basically transform James White Parkway south of the river into a half roadway, half linear park and greenway going all the way down there. That has no funding source now. Both Mayor Indy Kincannon and Bentley said that, yes, they're going to start looking for other sources. The sales tax revenue, if that passes, the voters approve that, is not on the table for going toward these projects. But they're going to be seeing what they can come up with other funding, and it's one of the things that Kincannon said is that it's kind of a reminder that local dollars for local projects kind of the way to go, because you can always count on them. So anyway, the feds, the Congress and the Trump administration did cut that program. It wasn't aimed specifically at Knoxville. It's a $3.3 billion program. Projects all over the country were suddenly unfunded by this move, and Knoxville just happened to be one of them. So finally, the last thing we'll touch on, things that happened last week, happened in the Planning Commission, where they took up proposed amendments to the zoning code of the city of Knoxville. One thing, if procedurally, the Planning Commission approves zoning ordinance amendments, and all that does is recommends them to City Council. City Council has the actual responsibility of voting for or against them. So these things aren't final. Their final approval is certainly not in place for these at this point. But the amendments to the zoning code that planning commissioners approved on Thursday include something we reported on this past week for the first time, and that's subdivided duplexes. And this is kind of interesting. For the past 5 years, up until 2020, you could subdivide duplexes. Then during Rico Knoxville, that provision was dropped. So for the past 5 years, you haven't been able to do this. But the whole idea is to have if you have a duplex, you can subdivide it along the common wall, the party wall, as they call it in the business. So, which sounds a lot more fun than the dividing wall. So, but anyway, the dividing wall of a duplex, it would be the property would be divided there. It extends, that line would extend, of course, out into the lot. And they basically cut the lot in half, cut the ownership of the duplex in half, so that you could have a different owner for each side of the duplex. Seth, if you want, you could buy one side of the duplex, and I could buy the other side of the duplex. Now, we are going to, I don't know if you wouldn't want to live next to me like that. I don't think, but it's possible. One of the things that they have talked about to in support of this is that it does encourage ownership rather than rental units in neighborhoods, and duplexes are allowed in virtually every neighborhood, but the RN1 and RN2 districts, the least dense neighborhoods, they have to get special approval by planning commission to be there. I mentioned that earlier. These duplexes can do that. It also, it gives more housing options for people at a lower price point. I mean, if you have a 2-bedroom duplex unit that you can buy, that's a lot cheaper than a new house. Most houses that are being built these days are 4 bedrooms. If you don't need that much space, or you just want to come in at a lower price point to enter the market and start building equity, that's one way to do it. It's what advocates have been saying. Another argument that was made is that seniors will do this. That a lot of seniors are moving to Knoxville and Knox County. A lot of longtime residents of Knoxville, Knox County are entering their senior years. Present company included, getting ready to head that way. I hope a lot of seniors like to downsize when they retire. This is a way to downsize, and so there are a lot of things going for it. Most of the what little opposition there has been. The president, Lee Hume, the president of the West Hills Community Association, wanted a delay so they can find out more about it. They didn't know much about this proposal, which really kind of surfaced in the last week or so publicly. And we just want to make sure that there aren't any unintended consequences. East Tennessee Realtors is all for it because of it encourages home ownership and gives buyers more options, which also, fancy that, gives realtors more options too, that they have things that they can sell. But anyway, the consensus on the planning commission was, we'll go ahead and pass this now, and we can revisit it down the road after a year. The planning commission staff is going to look at it, see if anything needs to be tweaked to it, which is kind of what they did with the middle housing initiative in the city. So they went ahead and passed that unanimously. Then we'd also talked about cottage courts, which is a middle housing type. That is a cottage court is a development where you have a central courtyard that extends back off the street, just perpendicular to the street, and that houses are arranged around that courtyard in basically a U shape. They're small, tend to be smaller houses, which means they have not only a smaller footprint, they also are a little more affordable than than most single family dwellings that are built. So the cottage courts, they had standards to establish this, standards for it. Now, cottage courts are designed to fit into neighborhoods, not to be neighborhoods into and of themselves. Again, this is a thing that the East Tennessee Realtors talking about with seniors. You got this common courtyard. Usually, the thought is these would go in more walkable neighborhoods, and that would be those would be things that, and you'd be close to your neighbors. Be things that seniors would appreciate in their retirement years. The one thing about this is these would not be allowed in those RN1 and RN2 areas, zones. They would be allowed in zones that allow higher density, which is less, those, then you're not really fitting into to single family residential neighborhoods. So I don't know how that's going to work out, but But anyway, that passed unanimously as well. It's important to note that in both of these instances, especially the subdivided duplexes, that doesn't increase the number of areas where duplexes can go. Duplexes can already go into those low density RN1, RN2 areas as a special use. That doesn't change. I mentioned that earlier. Cottage courts can't go into RN1, RN2 zones at all. So it really, the big pushback always comes from residents who live in these single family house neighborhoods, and these really should not have an effect on those neighborhoods at all. So we'll see if council adopts those, and if they do, we will keep track and follow how they get developed. So those were some of the stories that happened last week. As I said, it was a busy week. Next week is not going to be quite as busy on the civic front. The city council, county commission, school board, nobody's meeting next week. The only body that is meeting is the newest one, the Juvenile Service Center board, the juvenile detention facility. As we know, they've had a leadership shakeup there after the facility's only director, superintendent in its history, Richard L. Bean, resigned kind of after some issues with personnel there, allegations that he engaged in some retaliatory firings of employees. He resigned. His second in command resigned. The county commission voted last week, as we've reported to, or 2 weeks ago, as we reported to, change the management structure. There is a new, an interim superintendent who will manage the facility until the first of the year, when Sheriff Tom Spangler and the Knox County Sheriff's Office take over management. They also created a new board of directors, and that board of directors is made up now of, there were four members appointed by county commissioners, from among county commissioners, and one appointed by juvenile court judge Tim Irwin. Irwin actually appointed, as we reported last week, appointed Rhonda Lee, who is a county commissioner. So 5 members of the county commission now serve as the 5-member Juvenile Service Center board. They are holding their very, very, very first meeting at juvenile court on Thursday at noon. They're going to meet over there. They're going to tour the facility. They'll have a kind of an organizational meeting where they'll elect officers and those kinds of things. Just kind of learning about the facility that they are now entrusted to oversee. So, like I said, that'll happen next Thursday. It's open to the public. It will be at the juvenile courtroom on Division Street in Marble City in Knoxville. Also, next week, again, next Thursday, it will be a League of Women Voters Forum, candidate forum, the first one that the league is sponsoring during the primary season. This one will be for 6th district candidates. It will be held from 6:30 to 8 p.m. at the Phyllis Wheatley YWCA, 124 South Cruz Street in East Knoxville. The League of Women Voters is, reliably, puts out these or organizes these forums. They have, I don't know, I think questionable choices in who moderates these events. They picked me to be the moderator for this one, so I'll be there as a moderator, not as a reporter, but we will have somebody there to cover the candidates.
So we should expect a glowing review of the moderator of said forum from that said reporter.
Well, what the organizers hope is that people will look past the shortcomings of the moderator and pay attention to the real important things, which are the views of the candidates. So, at least that's what I hope. Because I don't know. I mean, I'm not suited for that. I'm not suited for doing a podcast. I went to print journalism, not broadcast journalism, for a reason. Yet here I am, and there I will be next Thursday at the Phyllis Wheatley Center. So residents of the 6th District especially should go down there and see a lot of, typically what happens is they take questions from the audience. And so they'll bring little cards up to me, and I will ask those questions of the candidates. They invite all candidates. Not all candidates show up, but for instance, the last forum we had, we didn't really talk about, but there was a forum that the Oak Ridge Knoxville Oak Ridge Central Labor Council had last week on labor issues. They invited all 18, 7 showed up. So hopefully with the league, they're going to have, since they're dividing their forums up into district forums, hopefully they will have plenty of the candidates, majority hopefully would love for all of them to show up to share their views on what is needed in Knoxville in the future. So that is everything that was on the agenda to talk about this week. Thank everybody for listening, for sticking with us. If you did, once again, you can read about these types of issues and more, because we've got plenty more on our website and in our daily newsletter, which our readers tell us is really the invaluable resource that we provide. You can go to CompassKnox.com if you're not familiar with us and see what we have to offer there. Want to thank Lord Seth Barber for interrupting his vacation to get my ramblings to your ears. So thank you, Seth. Thanks also to Will Wright for providing music for us. We'll be back next week with another installment of Compass Points.
CompassKnox.com is your best source for news and politics in Knoxville and Knox County. If you'd like to learn more about the topics discussed on today's podcast, go to CompassKnox.com and subscribe for in-depth coverage and much more. And many thanks to William Wright for composing our theme song. Compass Points is a partnership of Barking Shark Media and Barbarian Productions, and recorded by Lord Seth A. Barber at Barbarian Studios, Knoxville, Tennessee.